Hello, Amy's vlog! It is now February, and the Copeland tree is still here. It's been here since like the end of October, and we now have a festive stick to go along with it. This stack of books just appeared one day. We don't know who they belong to, how they got here, but they've just been here for a few weeks, and Mitchie has just picked one up now. It's a Single Father Sheriff. Oh God!
Intrigued. That's what I am.
Oh, with the oh, it's crime and romance with that fingerprint. So she's gonna open it to a random page and just do some reading for us.
Someone took a couple of shots at me and poisoned my dog.
Me.
She jerked her shoulders up and down. What am I supposed to do? Assume the fetal position? He clinked his glass against hers. I can never imagine you doing that. Even when you were 5 years old, you fought back. She choked on her wine and pressed a napkin to her mouth. What made you say that? Your sister was sleeping and you kicked the kidnapper in the shins. She was taken. You weren't. I tried to save Kayla too, not just myself. She took a bigger...
Nobody asked you, Kevin!
I tried to save Kayla too, not just myself. She took a bigger gulp of her wine and her eyes watered. Kendall. Coop crossed his fork and knife on the edge of his plate. You were 5. Knowing you, I'm sure you did more than most 5-year-olds would have done in that circumstance. You didn't curl up in a ball then either. She blinked. That's why I became a therapist. You know, I try to save people a little bit every day. And I'm sure you do.
What on earth is that? How you feeling about this bio lecture?
There's so many other things I could be doing. Oh, maybe so many other things we could be doing.
You laugh like an evil law gnome. You're like a human sound effects board. Perception of aliens is they're either really hot or really weird.
No, that's not what I meant. I'm not attracted to aliens.
You know, what you just said was like, when you're listening to someone speak Portuguese, it's either really hot or really weird. It's like an alien. I did not embellish that. That's exactly what you said.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
That is, oh my God.
No, I'm saying like it either sounds really
No, it
hot,
makes
like
sense.
really good.
Okay, but where do aliens come in?
That's my point. Thank you, Tim.
No, I mean like the nasal, like the nasality of it. Yeah.
Oh, so you
I'm
mean
not
it
calling
sound...
aliens hot.
I'm telling the way you phrased it, it dead ass sound like you did.
Oh.
That's why I was like, Neo, is there something you're trying to tell us? Like,
It's time to stop!
Not over that word.
Où les babous font le bruit de la mer. Ouh, la soca. Ouais, that sounds like soca.
just trying
La
to write
soca.
this in.
Rouge aux odeurs divines. S'ouvre et porte au cœur d'un humide éclair.
You see what I have to put up with? Oh my God. I found an article that lists how many. Hold on. Is this about to be the dancing clique again?
Oh my God.
I found an
That
article that lists a bunch of ridiculous ways that people have died.
Okay. So to preface this, I've watched entirely too much of that show, 1,000 Ways to Die.
I love that show!
I should not like that show, but I love that show. Anyway, so what's about to happen is Georgia has an article of really weird ways that people have died, and she's gonna read it out, and then I have like 10, or I don't know, how long do I have to react to it?
30 seconds.
All right, 30 seconds, that's a lot.
Dancer Isadora Duncan was strangled by a long scarf she was wearing when it got caught in the hubcap of a car. One day in September 1927, Duncan was learning to drive her brand new convertible. She leaned back and her scarf got tangled, tightening around her neck and dragging her from her seat onto the road. Go.
Y'all aesthetic ass motherfuckers. You know, like, you can't just have, if you got killed by your own aesthetic. That is the most millennial thing. I know this happened in like the 20s. That's the most millennial thing I've ever heard. You got killed by your own damn aesthetic. Like, how is this not an Urban Outfitters t-shirt by now? Like an offensive ass Urban Outfitters t-shirt that costs $50 for no reason, and it's cut off like here because the world needs to see your underboob with your aesthetic.
The owner of the Segway company died by riding one off of a cliff. In 2010, less than a year after purchasing the company, Jim Hesselden was riding a Segway near his home in Yorkshire, England, and fell more than 30 feet into a river.
All right, I got questions. I have so many questions because Segways cannot go faster than like 2 miles an hour. They're slow as shit. It's just like making my way downtown, moving slow because I'm on a Segway. No, you're not going fast at all. You're on a fucking Segway. So, but the point being that if you're on a Segway, you're going so slowly that you surely had 5 minutes of notice that there was a cliff ahead of you. How do you miss? I don't understand.
Multiple people have died from fatal water overdose, as in literally drinking too much water. Officially known as hypoatremia, this kind of death happens when sodium levels fall incredibly low. In 2007, one woman drank 6 liters in 3 hours for a contest to win a Nintendo Wii, threw up, and died hours later. Overhydration has killed many athletes as well.
Alright, so she mentioned a lack of sodium, aka a lack of salt. So the next time somebody says, hey Amy, you're a little too salty. Hey Amy, you're a little too salty. At least I'm not drowning myself. I have the proper amount of salt to remain alive, to offset my hydration, because I drink a lot of water, I'm a singer, but I also offset it with extra salt. So really, I'm just keeping the balance in line. Like, to win a Wii, like wave of my thing around. That is the dumbest reason I've ever heard.
A New York Congressman died from shaving in 1921 because his brush was covered in anthrax. Michael F. Farley was admitted into the hospital after complaining of swelling and severe pains that were later attributed to deadly anthrax that had grown in his shaving brush from whatever animal the brush had been made from.
Okay, no. The real question is, how shitty was this guy that someone said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna poison this guy. But I'm not just gonna like slip it into his food. I'm gonna put it in his shaving brush.
No, dude,
so it gets
the animal, pause it. The animal that it was made from, it had something before, so whatever brush the animal thing was made from, it was a bacterial
Put the timer back on. So this guy said, I'm going to poison this guy. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the long round. I'm going to poison his horse so that when he takes that horse hair and makes a brush out of it, this bitch going to get anthrax. That is playing the long game, and honestly, I admire it.
A man in Brazil was killed in 2013 when a cow fell through his roof onto him while he was sleeping. The cow is assumed to have escaped from a nearby farm and then climbed onto the man's roof and fell through. João Maria de Souza ultimately died from internal bleeding, and the cow's owner was expected to be charged with involuntary manslaughter.
Okay, my question is where in the year 2013 is this is 5 years ago. This is 5 years ago. Where in the world is a Brazil? Okay. Brazil. How is it a problem of a cow falling on your roof? I have questions. How'd the cow get up there?
Yeah.
Whose cow was it? This cow needs to be on the mix, because apparently he's got hops for days because he can get on a roof.
I'm dead.
If you have cows, put up a fence. This could have been prevented. Fences.
Quite a few people collapsed to death from exhaustion during a dancing plague in 1518.
Oh my God, here we go.
Around 400 people began to dance and were physically unable to stop for about 2 months during one of the most unusual dancing manias of all time. Apparently, situations like this have happened more than once between the 10th and 16th centuries, and many blame demonic possession.
Can you do this in 30 seconds?
No, I cannot.
Right,
we are not doing this again.
Oh,
Link
no.
in the description. Miss Trophia, I'm looking at you. This is your fault. Get out of the street, go back and churn the butter, all right?
Wow. Okay.
Comment down below if you know what the hell I just meant.
King Adolf Frederick of Sweden ate himself to death when he overate and his body failed to digest a giant meal. He died after eating lobster, sauerkraut, champagne, caviar, and 14 servings of dessert in 1771. Go.
Hold up. Like, one, lobster is disgusting because I don't want to have to.
You're Italian!
Yes, and not all Italians like lobster because I don't want to have to. It's a large sea cockroach.
Oh,
I feel
that's
shame.
disgusting. Sea cockroach.
I feel shame.
Disgusting. Whiskey distiller Jack Daniel died from a toe infection that spread throughout his system. Yes, the Jack Daniel from your dad's liquor cabinet fame. Apparently always forgot the combination to a safe at work, kicked it open and jammed his toe. When the toe got infected, he had to have his foot amputated, but the remnants of the infection spread and he died in 1911. Go.
Okay, if you lived before modern medicine or modern antibiotics or, I know this is 1911, but that's still like 100 years ago, don't go kicking shit. Don't go punching shit that doesn't need to be kicked or punched. You might get an infection. Oh, that hand that you just used to punch? Don't worry about breaking a knuckle. It's gone now. It had to be amputated so you don't get gangrene. Don't go kicking shit. Some shit needs to be kicked. I admit this. Some things need to be punched. But not everything. Safes that are made of metal do not need to be kicked.
A giant flood of beer killed 8 people in London in 1814.
That's amazing.
An iron ring around the Horseshoe Brewery's 22-foot tall wooden fermentation tank broke, splashing and spraying brown stout onto the street. It caused multiple other giant beer containers to open as well, resulting in about 320,000 gallons of alcohol being released. Go.
The worst part is I have actually heard this one before because right after the dancing epidemic thing blew up, people sent me crazy Wikipedia articles, and there was a common theme that apparently before like 1950, nobody could make a large container that would stay shut. So, every 5 years or so, beer's running down the street, molasses are going down the street because people failed to make tanks with structural integrity. If you're gonna store shit, put a lock on it. Put a seal on it. Don't just be like, it'll burst and it'll be fine. No!
A Danish nobleman died from a burst bladder after refusing to go pee during a dinner party because he didn't want to be rude.
Who was this guy?
Tycho Brahe thought it would breach etiquette to leave to use the bathroom during a royal banquet in 1601, so his bladder ruptured, causing him to die. Go.
Manners are lovely and all, but not when they cause bodily harm. If it was good manners to stab myself in the middle of my hand at the end of a meal, I wouldn't do that shit. I'd be like, yeah, I'm being rude, but like, I still got this hand. Like, I don't just be like, oh, excuse me. You want to know why we have the word excuse me? So you can excuse yourself should you need to do such a thing. So all you had to do was say, excuse me. Couldn't do that. Embarrassed. And I'm like, yeah, it's like the John Mulaney thing where it's like, I'll put all my emotions right here and someday I'll die. That is not a correct course of action for this situation.
I still don't understand the guy that had 14 things of dessert. I don't understand.
So I was getting a little feisty, getting a little salty, and then Georgia just slides something across the table. Salt packet.